first time Luna growled at the empty hallway, I thought it was nothing. The second time, I felt a chill. By the third night, I realized she wasn't growling at nothing. She was warning me. I knew something was wrong. Not with her, with our house. Something was coming for my baby. Our house held the most precious thing in my world. My 6-month-old daughter, Lily. My name is Maya, and I never believed in the supernatural until my Saint Bernard tried to warn me that something was coming for my baby. It started 3 weeks ago. Luna had always been a gentle giant, 140 pounds of pure love that we'd rescued from a shelter 4 years earlier. When we brought Lily home from the hospital, Luna appointed herself chief baby inspector, sniffing Lily's tiny feet and watching over her with those soulful brown eyes. But then something changed. She's doing it again, my husband David whispered as we stood in the doorway of Lily's nursery. It was 9:17 p.m., exactly the same time Luna had taken her position for the past week, standing rigid between Lily's crib and the hallway, her hackles raised, eyes fixed on something we couldn't see. Maybe she's jealous, David suggested, but I shook my head. This wasn't jealousy. Luna wasn't looking at Lily, she was looking past her, toward the darkened hallway that led to our seldom-used guest room. Dogs don't maintain jealousy on a precise schedule, I said, watching as Luna's tail stiffened. Something's bothering her, David sighed, running his hand through his already disheveled hair. Neither of us had slept well since Luna's behavior started. I checked the entire house again. No mice, no strange noises, no nothing. But there was something. I could feel it too. A heaviness in the air that hadn't been there before, like the pressure change before a storm. That night, I stayed up researching dogs and their behaviors. While David finally collapsed into exhausted sleep, Luna remained at her post, her eyes never leaving that hallway. Around midnight, I heard Lily stir. By the time I reached the nursery doorway, Luna was already standing over the crib, her massive body positioned protectively. "It's okay, girl," I whispered. But even to my own ears, the words sounded hollow. The next morning, I called Dr. Rivera, our veterinarian. "Bring her in," she said immediately. Sudden behavior changes can indicate health issues. The examination revealed nothing physically wrong with Luna. "Her health is excellent for a 5-year-old, Dr. Rivera said, scratching behind Luna's ears. "Have there been any changes at home? Construction? New neighbors?" "Nothing," I answered, then hesitated. "But there is something strange. It only happens at night, always at the same time. She stands guard between my daughter and our hallway." Dr. Rivera's expression shifted subtly. "Animals perceive things differently than we do," she said carefully. "Their hearing range extends far beyond ours, and they can detect subtle changes in air pressure, electromagnetic fields, even human emotional states." "You think she's sensing something we can't?" The idea sent a chill down my spine. "I think you should trust her," Dr. Rivera said simply. That night, David installed a baby monitor with temperature sensors and motion detection. "If there's anything to detect, this will find it," he said, sounding more confident than either of us felt. As 9:17 approached, we watched the monitor intently. Luna took her position, and exactly on schedule, her low growl began. "Temperature normal," David murmured, checking the readings. "No motion except for Lily and Luna." But then I noticed something on the screen. "David," I whispered, pointing at a strange distortion in the corner of the image, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. "Probably interference," he said, but his voice had lost its certainty. The next day I called my mother. I hadn't told her about Luna's behavior, knowing she'd worry. Mom had always been superstitious, a trait I'd rejected until now. "How's my grandbaby?" she asked cheerfully. "She's good," I replied automatically. "Mom, do you remember what Grandma used to say about dogs seeing things we can't?" The line went silent for a moment. "What's happened, Maya?" The concern in her voice broke my composure, and the whole story tumbled out. Luna's nightly vigil, the veterinarian's comments, the strange distortion on the monitor. "I'll be there tonight," Mom said firmly. "Don't argue." Mom arrived at 7 p.m., carrying her old leather bag that always smelled of sage and rosemary. She walked directly to the hallway Luna watched each night, stopping at the entrance to the guest room. "When was the last time anyone slept in here?" she asked, her hand resting on the doorknob. "Not since before Lily was born," David answered. "My brother stayed here when he helped us set up the nursery." Mom nodded, then opened the door. The room was exactly as we'd left it. The queen bed neatly made, curtains drawn, a layer of dust on the unused furniture. She walked the perimeter slowly, pausing occasionally to touch the walls. "The previous owners," she finally said. "Did they mention anything unusual about this room?" David and I exchanged glances. "They were an older couple moving to Florida," I said. "The house had been in their family for generations." Mom nodded thoughtfully. "Family homes carry memories, Maya. Not all of them peaceful." As 9:17 approached, we gathered in Lily's nursery, David and I by the crib, Mom in the rocking chair, and Luna taking her usual position. The tension was palpable as Luna's growl began right on schedule. But this time, something different happened. As Luna growled, the baby mobile above Lily's crib began to turn slowly, though there wasn't a hint of draft in the room. My mother stood, moving beside Luna. "You see it too, don't you?" she whispered to the dog. Luna's growl deepened as Mom pulled out a small bundle of dried herbs from her bag. "This house is trying to tell you something," she said, lighting the bundle. The pungent smell of sage filled the room. "And Luna's been listening." The next morning, over coffee, Mom explained. "In the old days, people understood that houses develop personalities of their own, accumulations of joy, grief, love, and fear. Sometimes those emotions get stuck." "You're saying our house is haunted?" David asked incredulously. Mom smiled gently. "Not haunted, wounded. That hallway, there's pain there that Luna can sense." "But why now?" I asked. "We've lived here for 2 years." "Babies change things," Mom said simply. "They bring new energy into a space. And Luna?" She reached down to stroke the dog's massive head. "She's protecting Lily from the old pain trying to reach your new joy." I would have dismissed it all as superstition before Luna's behavior started. But now, watching her gentle vigilance over my daughter, I found myself believing. David called a contractor that afternoon, asking for a full inspection of the guest room and hallway. The contractor arrived the next day, tools in hand and skepticism clear on his face, until Luna followed him to the guest room, her eyes never leaving him as he worked. "There's definitely something off here," he said after an hour of examination. "This wall—" He knocked on the hallway wall Luna watched each night. "It doesn't match the original blueprints." "What do you mean?" David asked. "According to these plans, this hallway should be 2 feet wider," the contractor explained. "Someone built a false wall here, probably decades ago." My blood ran cold. "Can you open it?" The contractor nodded, retrieving his tools. The drywall came away easily, revealing a narrow space between walls. Luna pushed forward, sniffing intently as the contractor shone his flashlight into the darkness. "There's something here," he said, reaching in carefully. He pulled out a small, dust-covered box. Inside the box was a faded photograph of a young woman holding an infant, a lock of baby hair tied with blue ribbon, and a tear-stained letter dated 1953. "My dearest son, they tell me I must give you away, that an unmarried mother cannot provide the life you deserve. They say I'll forget, move on, start fresh. They don't understand that you are carved into my heart forever. I hope someday you might find this, might understand that leaving you was my life's greatest sorrow. Your loving mother." Eleanor. Tears streamed down my face as I finished reading. "She hid her grief here," I whispered. "All these years." Mom nodded. "And Luna felt it reaching toward your baby." That night, for the first time in weeks, Luna didn't growl. She lay peacefully beside Lily's crib, occasionally glancing toward the hallway, but without tension or fear. We learned later that Eleanor had worked as a maid for the original owners of our house. Pregnant and unwed in an unforgiving time, she'd been forced to surrender her baby boy for adoption. The family had allowed her to continue working in their home, never knowing she'd created this hidden shrine to her lost child. The following weekend, we held a small ceremony in our backyard. David built a beautiful small cedar box, and we placed Eleanor's treasures inside, along with wild flowers and a note from our family acknowledging her love and loss. As the sun set, I watched Luna sitting beside Lily's portable crib, her vigilant eyes now peaceful. Some might say it was coincidence, that Luna had sensed structural issues with the wall, not a mother's decades-old grief, that the timing of her growls at exactly 9:17 each night meant nothing. But I know better. Because 2 days after our ceremony, I found something while organizing Lily's birth certificate and hospital bracelet. The time of birth recorded on her documents, 9:17 p.m. Dogs don't just sense what's there, they sense what matters. And sometimes, when we're wise enough to listen, they protect us not just from danger, but from forgetting what's truly important. That love, even hidden behind walls for decades, never really disappears. Luna taught me that.